Let's take a look at some of the 3D drawing tools that Illustrator can provide you with. I want to start at the front by saying don't let these 3D effects act as if they're your concept for your poster. If 3D helps with whatever the concept of your poster is, then that's great. But if you don't have a concept, 3D will just make it look like a 3D lack of concept rather than an actual idea. That said, here's how we can work with 3D. And this can work on text or it can work on drawn objects. I'm going to start by, well, I've got my little icon guy, and I've got a block of text which is justified text, so it's flush left and flush right. And I've done that because I'm going to make this block of text look like it's maybe a wall next to this icon guy. I start by selecting the thing I want to uh, apply the 3D effect to, and then I go to Window, Effect. To start with, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and rotate. This is the simplest one. If I click the preview, I can start to see that this blue face on the cube represents the plane that my object is on. And if I rotate this around, I'll see what that would look like in different orientations. I'm going to go back to 0 here. I'm just inputting 0, and I've got it back on a horizontal plane, so I'm just holding shift and rotating here. Now, it's making the text look compressed, but it's not really giving me that perspective look. I can get some of that to happen by clicking on this perspective and pushing out the angle of perspective. So sometimes these can push so far they break, but you get the idea that I can make this text look as if it is in dimensional space. And just like all effects, they're actually just rendered in Illustrator. So my text is actually still here on the page. I could type it, I could select it and edit it. If I go to my appearance window, if I select it and then go to my appearance window, I can turn on or off that 3D rotation, and I can come back and edit the 3D rotation. So that's one quick way. I can also do, I'm just going to click this one. So I could do the floor by the same token, right? This guy could be standing on 3D floor. But there are also a couple other effects. 3D Revolve might sound cool, but if I click preview on this and click OK, that seems weird, right? So what 3D Revolve does is take whatever you've selected, and it will pick the leftmost edge and act as if it spun it in space, like as if it was on a potter's wheel and you're making a vase out of the type. And you can get some cool shapes out of stuff like this. So if I rotate this around, or if I get my 3 so it's facing out, I can see those indents into that sphere. So you can make some cool shapes with it, but again, if you didn't have a concept for needing wacky shapes like that, don't let this become your idea. I'm going to change this. I'm just going to delete it. Cancel. Cancel. It takes a little while to render these also, so I'm going to, in the appearance window, delete this, delete that. We've got a 3D that I can work with. So the last of the 3D tools is Extrude and Bevel. And so similar thing, if I click on preview, I see the face that my 3D is on. I can move this around and rotate it. So 0, 0. I'm going to make it look like it's kind of looming over the guy. 0 here, 0, and then, oops, I think I got the wrong one. This 0, and this pane. I just want to rotate down. Again, I can have a perspective feel to this, so it can look like it's going back in space. like it's, I guess they all do that, but I can also control the extrude depth. So right now it's 50 points. If I want it to be really deep, I can make it really deep, or if I want it to be shallower, if it's just a short little extrude, I type in 20. I don't want to hit return. I'll just click in another text box and I can get shallow or not with the 3D. That seems fine to me. I'm going to come here. Oh, shading. So there's, let me turn on the preview again. So there's by default plastic shading, but there's also wireframe, no shading, which basically does nothing, diffuse shading. There's a lot more to the 3D. I can assign patterns to it, but I'm just giving you the crash course here. And again, this is in the appearance, it's really just rendered in Illustrator. So if I hit Command Y, I'll see that everything looks flat and the 3D tilting is just in space. There are, oh, if I want to edit this, it's a little tricky. I mean, I could still, because this is a typeface, I can still select and edit it. But if I want to edit the text as if it were actually rendered the way that it is, I can go to Object, Expand Appearance. And now if I look at it in outline mode, I can see that, oh, it looks like it actually appears. And if I select this and change colors of the faces, then I can't go back to rotating it, but I do have this control. One last thing, there are some presets. I've been rotating these around kind of randomly, but if you want to work with an isometric view where everything's, here I can get some guys facing each other. If I go to Effect, 3D, well, either rotate or revolve, there are some presets here, and if I say isometric left, preview, I'll have them facing the other way. Isometric right. Okay, and this guy, effect, 3D, rotate, isometric left, preview. Okay, so there's some guys at a corner in perspective space, and I can give this guy some depth if I want to. But there's an introduction to 3D tools in Illustrator, but again, if it's not part of your concept to start with, don't expect 3D to save your composition. It will only make it more obvious that there was no idea.